First contact and furry fortitude. The day Earth's trajectory changed forever began like any other at NASA's Deep Space Communication Complex. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, lead communications specialist, was halfway through her third cup of coffee when an unusual signal pinged on her monitor. At first, she dismissed it as an echo or a glitch. After all, humanity had yet to make contact with extraterrestrial life. But as the signal persisted, growing stronger and more distinct, Elena's heart began to race. "Hey, Mike," she called out to her colleague. "Come take a look at this. I think we might have something." Dr. Michael Chen, astrophysicist and resident skeptic, ambled over, his own mug of coffee in hand. "What have you got, Elena?" "Another satellite echo." "I don't think so," Elena replied, her eyes glued to the screen. "This pattern, it's too complex, too intentional. I think it might be a message." As Mike leaned in to examine the data, the signal suddenly crystallized into a clear, unmistakable pattern. Both scientists froze, their eyes widening in disbelief. "Holy shit," Mike whispered. It's a distress call." Within hours, the complex was buzzing with activity. Scientists, government officials, and military personnel swarmed the facility, all trying to decipher the alien message. As translators worked tirelessly to crack the alien language, one thing became clear: a distant civilization was crying out for help. The message, once decoded, painted a grim picture. A peaceful, highly advanced species called the Luminians were under attack by a ruthless force known as the Void Collective. The Luminians, despite their technological prowess, were pacifists at heart and found themselves defenseless against the aggressive onslaught. In desperation, they had sent out a plea to the stars, hoping against hope that someone would answer. As the global community grappled with the implications of first contact and the moral dilemma of intervention, an unexpected pattern emerged. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a behavioral scientist brought in to analyze the alien communication, noticed something peculiar. "The Luminians," she explained to the assembled team, "they don't just communicate with words or symbols. Their language, their very essence, seems to be deeply empathic. They resonate with emotions, with the intangible bonds between living beings." Elena frowned. "What are you getting at, Yuki?" Yuki's eyes sparkled with excitement. I think we might have an unexpected advantage. The Luminians, they're reaching out to us not just because we can help, but because they sense something in us, something unique." As if on cue, a soft meow echoed through the room. All eyes turned to see Chairman Whiskers, the complex's unofficial feline mascot, sauntering in. The tabby cat made his way to Elena, rubbing against her legs before leaping gracefully onto the console. Mike chuckled. "Looks like someone wants to be part of the first contact team." But Yuki wasn't laughing. She was staring at Chairman Whiskers with a look of dawning realization. "That's it," she exclaimed. "Our pets. Our bond with animals. It's unique in the galaxy." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity, for all its flaws and struggles, had achieved something remarkable: a symbiotic relationship with other species. Dogs, cats, and countless other animals had become not just companions, but extensions of human families. This bond, this ability to communicate and empathize across species lines, was exactly what had drawn the Luminians to Earth. As the days passed and plans for a response mission took shape, it became clear that humanity's approach would be unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Traditional military might play a role, certainly, but the core of Earth's expeditionary force would be something altogether different. Teams of humans and their animal companions, their unbreakable bonds serving as both weapon and shield against the Void Collective. The selection process was intense. Candidates from around the world, soldiers, scientists, diplomats, and civilians alike, were evaluated not just on their individual skills, but on the strength of their connection with their animal partners. Dogs and their handlers from search and rescue teams, cats and their owners who seemed to communicate without words, horses and riders who moved as one, all were considered for this unprecedented mission. Elena found herself at the heart of the operation, her expertise in communication making her an invaluable asset. Chairman Whiskers, much to everyone's amusement and eventual acceptance, refused to leave her side. The bond between them, once seen as a simple workplace friendship, took on new significance in light of their galactic mission. As the training progressed, the human-animal teams displayed abilities that bordered on the miraculous. Dogs could sense hostile intentions before any human could, cats could navigate through the most complex environments with ease, and even smaller animals like rats and birds proved their worth in reconnaissance and data gathering. But it wasn't just about practical skills. The empathic abilities that the Luminians had sensed in humanity were amplified tenfold when humans and animals worked together. In simulated encounters, the teams could establish rudimentary communication with alien species far faster than any traditional method. Yet, as the launch date approached, doubts began to creep in. The Void Collective, from what little they knew, was a force of unimaginable power and cruelty. How could Earth hope to stand against such a threat with what essentially amounted to an army of pets and their owners? It was during one such moment of doubt that Elena found herself alone in the communication hub, poring over the latest data from the Luminian transmissions. Chairman Whiskers lay curled in her lap, purring softly. "What are we doing, Whiskers?" she murmured, scratching behind his ears. "Are we really going to sail off into the stars with a bunch of cats and dogs, thinking we can save an alien civilization?" As if in response, Chairman Whiskers stood up, stretching languidly before fixing Elena with a piercing gaze. In that moment, something passed between them, an understanding, a shared purpose that transcended words. Elena felt a surge of emotion, determination, courage, and an unshakable sense that they were on the right path. Just then, the communication array lit up. A new transmission from the Luminians was coming through, stronger and clearer than ever before. As Elena rushed to decode it, she realized with a start that she could almost feel the message before she read it. It was a sensation of hope, of gratitude, of kindred spirits reaching out across the cosmic void. The message, when fully translated, was simple but profound. "We see you. We feel you. You are not alone, and neither are we. Together, we will light up the darkness." Tears welled up in Elena's eyes as the true weight of their mission hit her. This wasn't just about saving a distant civilization or proving humanity's worth on the galactic stage. It was about extending the very thing that made humans unique, their capacity for empathy, for forming bonds beyond the boundaries of species, to the stars themselves. As if sensing her emotional state, Chairman Whiskers stood up on his hind legs, placing his paws on Elena's chest and touching his nose to hers. In that simple gesture was a promise. Wherever they went, whatever they faced, they would face it together. The doubts didn't disappear entirely, but they were overshadowed by a new resolve. Humanity, with all its flaws and all its potential, was about to take its first steps into a larger universe, and they would do it not with clenched fists, but with open hearts and loyal companions by their side. As Elena left the communication hub that night, Chairman Whiskers trotting faithfully by her side, she felt a sense of anticipation unlike anything she'd experienced before. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, as if welcoming Earth's impending journey. Tomorrow, they would begin final preparations. In a matter of weeks, the first human-animal teams would board their specially designed spacecraft, ready to answer the Luminians' call. It would be a mission of diplomacy, of protection, and of hope. The Void Collective, with all its power and terror, had no idea what was coming. They expected warships and soldiers, plasma cannons and battle strategies. Instead, they would face the most underestimated force in the universe, the unbreakable bond between living beings who had chosen to stand together, to love each other, to fight for each other. As Elena drifted off to sleep that night, Chairman Whiskers curled up beside her. She couldn't help but smile. The future was uncertain, filled with dangers beyond imagination. But it was also filled with possibilities, with the potential for connections that spanned not just species, but entire worlds. The fluffy frontier awaited, and Earth's adorable defenders were ready to answer the call. Operation Whiskers. The launch day arrived with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. The sleek, specially designed spacecraft Poseidon stood ready on the launch pad, its hull gleaming in the early morning sun. Unlike traditional spaceships, Poseidon was a marvel of bioengineering, designed to accommodate both human and animal crew members in perfect harmony. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the base of the ship, Chairman Whiskers securely nestled in a high-tech carrier on her back. Around her, dozens of other human-animal teams were saying their final goodbyes to friends and family. Dogs of all breeds stood alertly by their handlers' sides, cats peered curiously from their carriers, and even a few more exotic team members, including a particularly intelligent octopus and its marine biologist partner, were being loaded aboard. Captain Zara Malik, a decorated Air Force pilot and the mission's commander, approached Elena with a reassuring smile. By her side trotted Max, her Belgian Malinois and veteran of countless search and rescue operations. "Ready to make history, Dr. Rodriguez?" Zara asked, extending her hand. Elena took a deep breath and shook the captain's hand firmly. "As ready as we'll ever be, I suppose, though I'm still not sure the galaxy is prepared for Chairman Whiskers." As if on cue, the cat in question let out a loud meow, causing both women to laugh. The moment of levity helped ease the tension that had been building for weeks. "All right, team," Zara called out, her voice carrying across the launch pad. "Final checks and board in 5 minutes. Remember your training, trust your partners, and let's go save a civilization." The boarding process was unlike anything Mission Control had ever seen. Humans and animals moved in perfect synchronization, years of trust and companionship evident in every step. As Elena settled into her station in the communication hub, Chairman Whiskers curled up in a specially designed pod next to her, his purrs a soothing counterpoint to the ship's humming systems. The launch itself was surprisingly smooth, Poseidon's advanced technology compensating for the unique needs of its diverse crew. As Earth fell away beneath them, a sense of awe fell over the ship. They were the first, the pioneers of a new age of space exploration and galactic diplomacy. However, the reality of their mission quickly set in as they began the long journey to the Luminian home world. The ship's AI, affectionately named FETCH, Friendly Extraterrestrial Communication and Translation Helper, began relaying the latest updates from the distant civilization. "The situation has deteriorated," FETCH reported, its soothing voice belying the gravity of the news. "The Void Collective has increased its attacks. The Luminians are barely holding on." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. Chairman Whiskers, sensing her distress, hopped onto her lap and nuzzled her hand. The simple gesture helped center her, reminding her of why they were here. "All right, people, and pause." Captain Malik's voice came over the intercom. "We knew this wasn't going to be easy. Let's run through our first contact protocols again. Dr. Rodriguez, how are our communication systems looking?" Elena quickly checked her readouts. "All green, Captain. Fetch is continuously refining our translation algorithms based on the Luminian transmissions. We should be able to establish clear communication as soon as we're in range." As the days in space turned into weeks, the crew settled into a rhythm. The human-animal team spent hours training, refining their already impressive skills in the unique environment of the ship. The dogs, in particular, seemed to thrive in zero gravity, their playful bounds bringing smiles to even the most stressed crew members. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. About halfway through their journey, a critical life support system malfunctioned. As the human engineers scrambled to find a solution, it was a team of rats and their human handler that saved the day. The tiny, agile creatures were able to navigate through the ship's smallest conduits, identifying the problem and even assisting in the repair. This incident served as a powerful reminder of the mission's core philosophy, that every being, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, had a vital role to play. As they entered the final leg of their journey, the mood on the ship grew tense. They were about to face an enemy unlike anything humanity had encountered before, armed with little more than their wits, their technology, and the bond between human and animal. It was during this time that Elena made a breakthrough in her communications with the Luminians. Late one night, as she pored over the latest transmissions with Chairman Whiskers dozing nearby, she noticed a pattern. "Hefe Kichich," she called out excitedly. "Can you correlate these signal fluctuations with Chairman Whiskers' purr frequency?" There was a brief pause as the AI processed the request. Correlation found, Dr. Rodriguez. The Luminian communication patterns show a 98.7% match with feline purr vibrations when adjusted for interstellar distance. Elena sat back stunned. They had assumed the Luminians were communicating primarily through what they interpreted as language, but what if it was more than that? What if the very vibrations of life itself, the purr of a cat, the wagging tail of a dog, the steady beat of a human heart, were key to truly understanding and connecting with this alien species? She quickly shared her findings with Captain Malik and the rest of the crew. The implications were enormous. If they could use this knowledge to enhance their communication methods, they might be able to connect with the Luminians on a level far deeper than they had imagined. As the team worked feverishly to incorporate this new understanding into their first contact protocols, they received an urgent transmission from the Luminian home world. The Void Collective had launched a major offensive. The Luminians were calling for immediate assistance. Captain Malik's voice crackled over the intercom, steady despite the gravity of the situation. "All hands, prepare for emergency protocols. We're going in hot." The Poseidon shuddered as it pushed its engines to the limit, racing towards the conflict that would decide the fate of not just the Luminians, but potentially the entire galaxy. As they approached the Luminian system, the true scale of the conflict became apparent. The Void Collective's ships were massive, dark behemoths that seemed to swallow light itself. In contrast, the Luminian vessels glowed with a soft, bioluminescent light, beautiful but tragically outmatched. "This is it, everyone." Captain Malik's voice was calm, but tinged with steel. "Remember why we're here. Remember who we're fighting for. Every being on this ship, human and animal alike, has a part to play. Trust in each other, trust in the bonds we forged. Operation Whiskers is a go." As the Poseidon dove into the fray, Elena felt Chairman Whiskers press against her leg, his purr a steady, comforting vibration amidst the chaos. She placed her hand on his soft fur, drawing strength from their connection. "All right, Whiskers," she murmured, her fingers flying over her console as she prepared to broadcast their message to the Luminians. "Let's show this Void Collective what Earth's finest are made of." With a deep breath, Elena activated the ship's unique communication array, broadcasting not just words or signals, but the very essence of the human-animal bond, a symphony of purrs, barks, heartbeats, and unwavering loyalty. As the message pulsed out into space, the Luminian ships seemed to pause, then glow brighter. The Void Collective, for the first time, showed signs of confusion. In that moment, as two alien armadas hung in the balance, influenced by the most unexpected of forces, Elena realized that their true journey was only just beginning. The fate of galaxies would be decided not by weapons or technology, but by the power of connection, compassion, and the unbreakable bonds between species. Operation Whiskers was underway, and the universe would never be the same. Some tactics. The initial shock of the Poseidon's arrival had thrown the Void Collective into momentary disarray, but it didn't last long. As the massive dark ships regrouped, Elena and the crew of the Poseidon knew they had to act fast. "Dr. Rodriguez, status on our communication with the Luminians." Captain Malik's voice crackled over the intercom. Elena's fingers flew over her console, Chairman Whiskers perched attentively by her side. "We've established a connection, Captain. It's unlike anything we've ever experienced. The Luminians are responding to our empathic broadcasts. They're synchronizing with us." Indeed, the Luminian ships had begun to pulse in rhythm with the Poseidon's unique transmissions. The symphony of purrs, barks, and heartbeats that formed the core of their communication was creating a harmonious resonance across the battlefield. Excellent work, Doctor. Now, let's show these void creeps what we're made of. All teams, initiate Operation Fuzzy Fury. Throughout the ship, human-animal teams sprang into action. In the tactical center, Major Liam O'Connor and his border collie, Sky, began coordinating the Luminian fleet movements. Sky's innate herding instincts, honed through countless simulations, proved invaluable in organizing the scattered alien ships into effective formations. "That's it, girl," Liam murmured as Sky barked out commands that Fehi translated into Luminian signals. "Let's get these ships in order." Meanwhile, in the ship's specially designed aquatic chamber, marine biologist Dr. Yara Okoro and her octopus partner, Ink, were analyzing the Void Collective's attack patterns. Ink's remarkable problem-solving abilities and Yara's strategic mind made for an unbeatable combination. "Look at that, Ink," Yara said, pointing to a holographic display of the battlefield. "They're using a cephalopod-like maneuver. Can you predict their next move?" Ink's tentacles danced across a specially designed interface, inputting complex calculations faster than any human could. Within moments, a projected path of the Void Collective's ships appeared on the screen. "FETT, relay Ink's predictions to Captain Malik immediately," Yara commanded. On the bridge, Captain Malik received the information with a grim smile. "Clever cephalopod. Helm, adjust our course to intercept. Let's show them some old-fashioned dogfighting skills." As the Poseidon swooped into action, the Void Collective ships fired their first salvo. Dark energy beams lanced across space, but thanks to Ink's predictions, most missed their mark. "Shields holding at 92%, Captain," reported the defense officer. "But we can't take too many more hits like that." "Understood. Dr. Rodriguez, how are our furry friends holding up?" Elena quickly checked the ship's biometric readings. "All animals are calm and focused, Captain. In fact," she paused, double-checking her readings. "It seems their presence is actually reinforcing our shield integrity. The empathic field they're generating is somehow deflecting part of the void energy." This unexpected development turned the tide of the battle. As the Poseidon darted between Luminian and void ships, it became clear that the Earth vessel was far more maneuverable and resilient than anything the Void Collective had encountered before. In the ship's lower decks, Sergeant Maria Chen and her team of military dogs were gearing up for boarding action. As the Poseidon drew alongside a damaged void ship, Maria addressed her canine squad. "All right, pups, we've trained for this. Remember, our job is to locate and rescue any prisoners a void might have. Rex, you've got point. Bella, watch our 6. Let's move." The boarding party launched from the Poseidon, their specially designed suits allowing both humans and dogs to move freely in the vacuum of space. As they breached the hull of the void ship, they were met with an environment of twisting shadows and disorienting geometries. Rex, a German shepherd with years of search and rescue experience, took the lead. His keen senses, further enhanced by advanced alien tech integrated into his suit, cut through the void ship's defenses like they weren't even there. As they moved deeper into the ship, they encountered void crew members, writhing masses of darkness that seemed to defy physical laws. But to the surprise of both the humans and the void entities, the dogs' barks seemed to disrupt their very essence. "It's the frequencies," Maria realized. "Dogs can produce sounds we can't even hear. It's affecting them somehow. Everyone, activate your sonic amplifiers." The combined barks of the dog squad, amplified and modulated by their suits, sent the void crew reeling. Taking advantage of the confusion, Maria and her team pressed on, eventually finding a group of captive Luminians. The rescue mission was a success, but it was only one small victory in a much larger conflict. As the boarding party returned to the Poseidon with the freed Luminians, the battle outside had intensified. Back on the bridge, Captain Malik was coordinating a complex dance of ships and energy beams. The Luminians, emboldened by the Earthship's arrival and guided by Sky's expert herding, were holding their own against the Void onslaught. "Captain," Elena called out, "I'm picking up some strange readings from the largest Void ship. It looks like they're charging some kind of superweapon." As if on cue, the massive Void flagship began to pulse with dark energy. A beam of pure darkness, so dense it seemed to bend light around it, lanced out towards the Luminian home world. "No," Malik shouted. "All power to forward shields. Intercept that beam." The Poseidon threw itself into the path of the deadly energy. For a moment, it seemed like the brave ship and its unique crew would be vaporized. But then something miraculous happened. As the dark energy struck the Poseidon's shields, it met the combined empathic field generated by every human and animal aboard. The ship glowed with an inner light, a manifestation of the unbreakable bonds between species, of loyalty, of love, of the simple joy a pet brings to a home. The void beam splashed harmlessly around the Poseidon, its dark energy dissipated by the power of companionship. In the stunned silence that followed, Elena's console lit up with an incoming transmission. "Captain," she said, her voice filled with awe, "the Luminians are hailing us. They say we've done the impossible. We've proven that light can exist in the darkest void." As the Void Collective ships began to retreat, their dreaded weapon rendered useless, Captain Malik allowed herself a small smile. "Well done, everyone, humans and animals alike. We've won this battle." But Elena, with Chairman Whiskers purring contentedly in her lap, knew that this was only the beginning. They had proven that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology or its weapons, but its capacity for forming bonds, for caring, for turning even the smallest and furriest of creatures into family. As the Poseidon hung in space, battered but unbroken, Elena realized that they had not just saved the Luminians. They had shown the galaxy a new way forward, a path lit by the warm glow of companionship. The real challenge and the real adventure was just beginning. The perfect infiltration. In the wake of their surprising victory, the crew of the Poseidon found themselves hailed as heroes by the Luminians. The bioluminescent aliens had welcomed them to their home world, a stunning planet of crystalline structures and pulsating energy fields. As Captain Malik and her team stood in the grand hall of the Luminian High Council, surrounded by tall, glowing beings, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Chairman Whiskers, perched on her shoulder, seemed equally impressed, his tail swishing back and forth in curiosity. The lead counselor, a being of pure light named Zara Lum, addressed the Earth team. "You have given us hope where there was none." Their melodious voice resonated in their minds. "But the Void Collective will return, stronger and more determined. We must strike at the heart of their operation if we are to have any chance of lasting peace." Captain Malik nodded gravely. "We're with you, Counselor. What do you propose?" Zara Lum's form shimmered as they brought up a holographic display of a distant space station. "This is the Nexus, the central hub of the Void Collective's operations. If we can infiltrate it and disrupt their control systems, we might be able to cripple their entire fleet." Dr. Yara Okoro, who had been quietly conferring with ink in a portable aquarium, spoke up. "The station's defenses look formidable. How do you suggest we get past them?" A sly smile seemed to play across Zara Lum's featureless face. "That, dear friends, is where your unique abilities come into play." And so, Operation Whisker Whisper was born. The plan was as daring as it was unconventional. A small team would infiltrate the Nexus using a captured Void shuttle, relying on the empathic abilities of Earth's animals to bypass the station's psychic defenses. Elena found herself at the heart of the mission, along with Chairman Whiskers and a select team of human-animal pairs. Captain Malik would remain with the Poseidon, coordinating the larger fleet movements to distract the Void Collective's main forces. As they prepared for the mission, Elena couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. She looked down at Chairman Whiskers, who met her gaze with his usual calm assurance. "Well, partner," she murmured, ready to save the galaxy. The captured Void shuttle was an unsettling vessel, its interior seeming to shift and warp in ways that defied normal physics. As they approached the Nexus, Elena felt a growing sense of unease. The massive space station loomed before them, a writhing mass of dark energy and twisted metal. "Steady, everyone," came the calm voice of Major Liam O'Connor. He sat at the shuttle's controls, with Skye the border collie by his side. "Remember your training. Let your bonds guide you." As they drew closer to the station, alarms began to blare. "They've detected us," Elena reported, her hands flying over the alien console. "Psychic scan incoming." This was the moment of truth. As the Void's probing energies washed over their ship, every human on board focused intently on their animal partners. Elena buried her face in Chairman Whisker's fur, feeling the soothing vibration of his purr. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then, miraculously, the alarms fell silent. It worked. Elena breathed, hardly daring to believe it. "They see us as one of their own." With a collective sigh of relief, the team guided their shuttle into one of the Nexus docking bays. As they disembarked, the true nature of their challenge became apparent. The interior of the station was a maze of shifting corridors and pulsing, organic-looking technology. "All right, team, let's move," Liam whispered. "Remember, our goal is the central control room. Disrupt their systems, pump the virus, and get out." They moved through the station like ghosts, their movements guided by the instincts of their animal companions. Skye led the way, her herding instincts proving invaluable in navigating the ever-changing layout. Chairman Whiskers, perched on Elena's shoulder, seemed to have a sixth sense for danger, his ears twitching at the slightest sign of approaching Void entities. As they delved deeper into the heart of the station, they began to encounter Void crew members, writhing masses of shadow that seemed to defy description. But true to their training, the Earth team remained calm, their empathic bonds creating a shield that kept them hidden in plain sight. It was Sergeant Maria Chen and her German shepherd, Rex, who first sensed that something was amiss. "Hold up," Maria whispered, her hand resting on Rex's head. "Something's not right. Rex is picking up on some kind of distress." Elena consulted her handheld scanner, frowning at the readings. "There's a large concentration of life signs nearby, but they're not Void signatures. They're varied, almost like prisoners," Liam finished grimly. "They must be holding captives from multiple species." A moment of silence fell over the team as they grappled with this new information. Their mission parameters were clear: get to the control room, plant the virus, get out. But could they really leave innocent beings to suffer? Elena looked down at Chairman Whiskers, seeing her own conflict reflected in his green eyes. She knew what they had to do. "New plan," she announced. "We split up. Liam, you take Skye and half the team to the control room. Stick to the original plan. Maria, you and Rex lead a team to free the prisoners. I'll go with you. We might need Chairman Whisker's empathic abilities to calm the captives." Liam nodded, a mix of pride and concern on his face. "It's risky, but it's the right call. Be careful, all of you. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth or the Luminians anymore. We're fighting for every being that's suffered under the Void's tyranny." As the team split up, Elena felt a surge of determination. This was why they had come, why they had crossed the stars with their loyal companions. Not just to win a war, but to bring hope to a galaxy in darkness. With Chairman Whiskers as their guide, Elena and Maria's team made their way towards the prisoner holds. The cat's acute senses led them true, avoiding Void patrols and navigating the twisting corridors with uncanny accuracy. When they finally reached the holding cells, the sight that greeted them was heart-wrenching. Beings of all shapes and sizes, from dozens of different species, were crammed into energy cages. Many looked weak, their life forces seeming to dim in the oppressive darkness of the Void station. "Okay, Whiskers," Elena whispered, setting the cat down. "Do your thing." As if understanding the gravity of the moment, Chairman Whiskers sat down in the center of the room and began to purr. It started as a low rumble, barely audible, but quickly grew in strength. The sound seemed to resonate with the very structure of the station, creating a bubble of warmth and comfort in the midst of the void's cold emptiness. The effect on the prisoners was immediate and profound. Dimmed eyes brightened, slumped forms straightened, and a palpable sense of hope filled the air. While Chairman Whiskers kept the captives calm, Maria and Rex got to work on the cell controls. The German Shepherd's keen nose led them to a hidden panel, and Maria's technical skills made short work of the locking mechanisms. As the energy barriers fell away, Elena addressed the bewildered prisoners. "We're here to help," she said, relying on Feet Teaches' universal translator. "Follow us, stay close, and stay quiet. We're getting you out of here." Meanwhile, Liam's team had reached the central control room. Using Sky's uncanny ability to predict and herd movement, they managed to clear the room of void operators without raising the alarm. "All right, let's move fast," Liam ordered as he began uploading the Luminian virus into the void's systems. "We don't know how long we have before." His words were cut off by a station-wide alarm. The jig was up. "Liam," Elena's voice crackled over the comm. "We've got the prisoners, but we're cut off from the shuttle bay. We need an alternate route." As void reinforcements began to converge on their position, Liam looked down at Sky, seeing the same determination in her eyes that he felt. "Hang tight, Elena. We're coming to you, and we're bringing a little chaos with us." With a final keystroke, Liam activated the virus. All around them, the station began to shudder and warp, its systems thrown into disarray. In the confusion, Liam and his team fought their way through the twisting corridors, Sky sparks somehow cutting through the void entity's defenses. The two teams met in a massive hangar bay, surrounded by void ships and swarming with enemy forces. It seemed like they had reached a dead end, but Elena wasn't ready to give up. "Everyone, form a circle," she shouted. "Animals in the center. Focus on your bonds, just like we trained." As the void closed in around them, humans and animals alike drew closer together. Chairman Whiskers' purr grew louder, joined by the barks of dogs, the chatters of smaller mammals, and even the soothing pulses from Ink the octopus in his portable tank. A sphere of warm, golden light began to form around the group, pushing back against the encroaching darkness. The void entities recoiled, unable to penetrate the barrier of pure empathic energy. "There," Liam pointed to a sleek void cruiser. "If we can get to that ship, we might just have a chance." Protected by their empathic shield, the team fought their way to the ship. As they boarded, Elena felt a surge of triumph. Against all odds, they had done it. They had struck at the heart of the Void Collective and lived to tell the tale. As the stolen cruiser blasted out of the hangar, leaving the chaos of the Nexus behind, Elena looked around at her team, human, animal, and alien alike. In that moment, she knew that they had done more than just complete a mission. They had proven that in the face of cosmic darkness, the light of companionship and loyalty could illuminate the way forward. The battle was far from over, but for the first time since this conflict began, the galaxy had reason to hope, and it was all thanks to a group of humans and their furry, feathered, and tentacled friends. Bark at the dark. The stolen void cruiser limped through space, its systems barely holding together after the daring escape from the Nexus. Inside, the human-animal teams worked tirelessly to keep the ship running while tending to the rescued prisoners. Elena sat at the makeshift command center, Chairman Whiskers curled up in her lap as she tried to establish contact with the Poseidon. "Come in, Poseidon. This is Dr. Rodriguez. Do you read me?" Static crackled through the comm system, punctuated by bursts of what sounded like distant explosions. Finally, Captain Malik's voice broke through, strained but resolute. "Rodriguez, thank the stars. We picked up the chaos at the Nexus. What's your status?" Elena quickly briefed the captain on their successful infiltration, the freed prisoners, and their current predicament. "We're in a void ship. so we can't approach openly without risking friendly fire. Any suggestions?" There was a pause before Malik responded, her voice tight with tension. "The situation has evolved, Doctor. The Void Collective has launched a full-scale assault on the Luminian home world. We're barely holding the line. Whatever you did at the Nexus, it's driven them into a frenzy." The gravity of the situation settled over Elena like a heavy blanket. They had struck a blow against the Void, but in doing so, they had provoked a desperate and potentially devastating counterattack. "Understood, Captain. We'll find a way to get back to you. Just hold on." As Elena ended the transmission, she felt a gentle nudge against her hand. Looking down, she saw Chairman Whiskers gazing up at her with his piercing green eyes. In that moment, she was struck by an idea so audacious it just might work. "Everyone, gather round," she called out to the mixed crew of humans, animals, and alien refugees. "I think I know how we can turn this ship from a liability into our greatest asset." The plan was risky, bordering on insane, but given their limited options, it was the best shot they had. Using the knowledge gained from their infiltration of the Nexus, combined with the unique empathic abilities of the Earth animals, they would attempt to fully integrate with the Void ship's systems. "If we can merge our consciousness with the ship," Elena explained, "we might be able to not just control it, but transform it. We could approach the battle as a Void ship, then reveal ourselves at the crucial moment." Major Liam O'Connor, with Sky the Border Collie at his side, nodded grimly. "It's dangerous, but it's our best chance to make a difference in this fight. What do you need us to do?" "Form a circle," Elena instructed, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. "Humans, connect with your animal partners. Refugees, if you're willing, join hands with us. We're going to create the largest empathic link we've ever attempted." As the disparate group came together, Elena placed Chairman Whiskers at the center. The cat's purr began to resonate through the ship, creating a focal point for their collective consciousness. "Focus on your bonds," Elena guided, her eyes closed in concentration. "Feel the connection between you and your partners, between all of us. Now, extend that feeling to the ship itself. Imagine our collective will seeping into every system, every circuit." At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the harsh angles and shadowy surfaces of the Void ship began to soften and glow. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by a warm, comforting ambience that reflected the unity of its new crew. As they approached the raging battle around the Luminian home world, the transformed ship was a sight to behold. It retained the general shape of a Void cruiser, but now it pulsed with an inner light, its hull adorned with patterns that seemed to shift between fur, scales, and feathers. "This is Dr. Elena Rodriguez of Earth." Elena broadcasted on all frequencies as they neared the conflict. "To all Luminian and Earth forces, we are friendly. I repeat, we are friendly. Prepare for reinforcements." The reaction from both sides was immediate. The Void ships, sensing the betrayal of one of their own, turned their attention to the newcomer. Beams of dark energy lanced out, only to be absorbed harmlessly by the ship's empathic field. "Now, everyone," Elena called out. "Show them what we can do together." The transformed ship sprang into action, moving with a grace and agility that defied its size. Every maneuver was a perfect synchronization of human strategy, animal instinct, and alien insight. Where void beams struck, fur-like energy fields deflected. When they attacked, it was with precisely aimed bursts of multicolored light that seemed to unravel the very essence of the void ships. On the bridge of the Poseidon, Captain Malik watched in awe as the newcomer turned the tide of battle. "All ships, form up on that cruiser," she ordered. "Follow its lead." The Luminian fleet, reinvigorated by this unexpected ally, rallied around the transformed void ship. What had been a desperate last stand became a coordinated assault that pushed the Void Collective back on all fronts. But the Void was not defeated yet. As their fleet faltered, a massive shape began to emerge from the depths of space, a ship so large it dwarfed even the Luminian home world. By all that's holy, Liam breathed, staring at the tactical display. What is that thing? Before anyone could respond, a bone-chilling voice resonated through every ship, every mind on the battlefield. We are void. We are eternal. Your light he is, but a theffel eating a spark in the endless dark. Surrender now, and your ending will be swift. The voice was cold, empty, devoid of any emotion or empathy. It was the antithesis of everything the Earth teams and their allies stood for. In the stunned silence that followed, it was Chairman Whiskers who made the first move. The cat stood up, arched his back, and let out a defiant meow that echoed through the ship's communication systems. Elena couldn't help but laugh, the sound breaking the tension that had gripped them all. You heard the cat, she said, a fierce grin spreading across her face. We didn't come all this way to surrender. If the void wants to snuff out our light, they'll have to work for it. As the colossal void ship approached, Elena felt a swell of determination. This was it, the final confrontation, the moment that would decide the fate of not just this galaxy, but countless others. All hands, prepare for battle, she called out, her voice steady and resolute. Remember why we're here. Remember the bonds that brought us across the stars. Human, animal, Luminian. Today, we stand together against the dark. The transformed ship surged forward, leading the charge against the seemingly insurmountable foe. As they flew into the shadow of the massive void vessel, Elena felt Chairman Whiskers press against her leg, his power a steady reminder of the strength they found in unity. Whatever the void had in store for them, they would face it together. The final battle for the light of the galaxy had begun. A tale of two species. The massive void mothership loomed before them, a behemoth of darkness that seemed to swallow the very stars around it. Elena's transformed ship, once a void cruiser and now a beacon of united strength, led the charge against this ultimate threat. All teams report in, Elena called out, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Tactical ready, came Major Liam O'Connor's response with a confirming bark from Sky. Engineering standing by, Dr. Yara Okoro chimed in, the gentle slushing of ink's tank audible in the background. One by one, every section reported their readiness. Humans, animals, and their newfound alien allies, all united in this final stand against the encroaching darkness. As they drew closer to the void mothership, its true scale became apparent. It wasn't just a ship. It was an entire ecosystem of darkness, a mobile world dedicated to the extinction of light and life. Suddenly, the mothership unleashed its first assault. Tendrils of pure darkness, each as wide as a starship, lashed out across space. The Luminian fleet scattered, narrowly avoiding destruction, but several ships weren't fast enough. Elena watched in horror as they were engulfed, their lights snuffed out in an instant. Evasive maneuvers, she shouted, feeling their own ship shudder as Chairman Whiskers yowled in alarm. The cat's cry seemed to resonate through the ship's systems, and suddenly they were moving with impossible agility, weaving between the dark tendrils with a grace that defied physics. It's working, Liam called out in amazement. The ship is responding to our collective instincts. Indeed, as the battle raged on, it became clear that the unique melding of human intelligence, animal instinct, and alien technology was the key to their survival. Where Luminian ships fell to the void's attacks, the transformed cruiser danced through the chaos, retaliating with bursts of multicolored light that seemed to unravel the very fabric of the dark tendrils. But for every small victory, the void mothership seemed to grow stronger. It was as if it was feeding off the destruction it caused, expanding and pulsing with malevolent energy. We need to find a way inside, Elena realized, her mind racing. If we can disrupt it from within, we might have a chance. As if in response to her thoughts, Chairman Whiskers leaped onto the main console, his paw landing on a pulsing section of the tactical display. The ship's sensors zoomed in, revealing a barely perceptible fluctuation in the mothership's dark field. "There," Yara exclaimed. "It's a rhythm like a heartbeat." Elena's eyes widened as understanding dawned. "It's not just a ship," she breathed. "It's alive. The Void Collective isn't controlling it. They've become one with it." This realization changed everything. They weren't fighting a war against an enemy fleet. They were up against a single massive entity that embodied the very concept of void. "If it's alive," Liam said slowly, "then maybe we can communicate with it." It was a wild idea, but in this moment, at the edge of oblivion, wild ideas were all they had left. "Everyone, focus," Helena commanded. "Just like before, but this time, we're not just linking with our ship. We're reaching out to the void itself." As the crew joined hands, with animals and aliens forming a circle around them, Elena placed Chairman Whiskers at the center once more. The cat's purr began to resonate, growing louder and more profound until it seemed to vibrate through the very fabric of space. Elena closed her eyes, focusing on that sound, on the warmth of connection that flowed through all of them. She thought of Earth, of lazy afternoons in the sun with Chairman Whiskers, of the simple joy of a dog greeting its human after a long day. She thought of the Luminians, of the awe she felt when she first saw their bioluminescent world. She opened her mind to all the species they had encountered, to the vast tapestry of life that filled the galaxy. And then she reached out to the void. The contact was immediate and overwhelming. Elena gasped as her consciousness was flooded with an ancient, incomprehensible alienness. The void was old, and so very, very lonely. Images flashed through her mind. The birth of the universe, the first stars igniting, and the void watching, always watching, never part of the grand dance of creation. It had grown, fed on the darkness between stars, becoming vast and powerful but forever separate, forever alone. "You don't have to be alone," Elena projected the thought with all her might. "Look at us. Different species, different worlds, but united. There's room for you too." For a moment, there was no response. Then slowly, Elena felt a shift. The oppressive darkness seemed to hesitate, to waver. Taking a deep breath, Elena opened her eyes and spoke aloud, her words carried by the power of their united empathic field. "To the being we know as the Void Collective, we see you. We feel your pain, your loneliness. But it doesn't have to be this way. You've spent eons consuming, trying to fill the emptiness inside. But look at us, human, animal, Luminian, and all the species you've tried to destroy. We're offering you something you've never had: connection." As she spoke, Elena felt the others lending her their strength. Chairman Whisker's purr grew louder, joined by a chorus of barks, chirps, and alien vocalizations. The transformed ship began to pulse with warm, inviting light. For a long, tense moment, the battle hung in balance. The dark tendrils of the void mothership froze in space, quivering with indecision. Then, slowly at first but with growing speed, the darkness began to recede. The massive form of the mothership started to shrink, its energy field shifting from oppressive shadow to a deep, twilight purple. A voice, no longer cold and threatening but tinged with wonder, resonated through space. "We understand. We were to learn." A collective sigh of relief swept through the fleet. The void wasn't gone, but it was no longer the existential threat it had been. In choosing to connect rather than consume, it had fundamentally transformed itself. As the remnants of the Void Collective began to intermingle with the Luminian fleet, Elena slumped back in her chair, exhausted but elated. Chairman Whiskers climbed into her lap, purring contentedly. "Well done, Doctor," Captain Malik's voice came through the comm, filled with pride and awe. "You've just changed the course of galactic history." Elena smiled, scratching Chairman Whiskers behind the ears. "We all did, Captain. Every human, every animal, every being that chose connection over conflict. We showed the galaxy that the greatest power isn't in weapons or technology, but in the bonds we form." In the days and weeks that followed, the true magnitude of their victory became clear. The Void, once a force of destruction, now worked alongside the Luminians and other species to heal the damage it had caused. Earth found itself at the center of a new galactic community, its unique relationship with animals a subject of fascination and admiration. As for Elena and Chairman Whiskers, they had become living symbols of this new era of interspecies cooperation. Standing on the observation deck of the Poseidon, watching ships of all shapes and sizes come and go from Earth's new spaceport, Elena reflected on the incredible journey that had led them here. "You know, Whiskers," she said, smiling as the cat rubbed against her legs, "when I joined this mission, I never imagined we'd end up saving the galaxy with purrs and cuddles." Chairman Whiskers meowed in response, a sound that seemed to say, "Of course we did. Was there ever any doubt?" Elena laughed, scooping up her feline friend and hugging him close. As she looked out at the stars, she knew that whatever challenges the future held, they would face them the same way they had faced the Void, together, with open hearts and wagging tails. The fluffy frontier had been conquered, and a new age of galactic harmony had begun. And it was all thanks to the unbreakable bonds between species, the power of empathy, and the simple, profound love between humans and their animal companions. In the vast expanse of space, a cat's purr had proven mightier than the darkest void, reminding the entire universe that sometimes the softest touch can make the biggest impact.